Hello, my friends. Welcome back to SoulTree Meditation. If you are new here, welcome. You can join me regularly for content regarding meditation, energy, manifestation, and the expansion of your consciousness. Okay, so I'm just having my morning coffee and I wanted to make a video this morning just about deprogramming. And I did a post about this yesterday on Instagram, but I wanted to expand on this because the topic of deprogramming is really important, especially when we're talking about manifestation and creating your reality, okay? So this video is going to be about manifestation and how deprogramming is absolutely essential in order to start manifesting what you actually want in your reality. So when we talk about programming, all of us are programmed from birth at every single level of our being. We're programmed from our parents, we're programmed from school, we're programmed from the government, we're programmed from media especially, okay? And what happens is that when we try to manifest something new in our reality, if we're programmed to expect less than what we are trying to manifest, we won't be able to manifest anything new, or we won't be able to manifest anything that's on the next level from where we're previously at. And it's important to kind of understand how this programming happens. Our beliefs are programmed to expect certain things, to see ourselves in a certain way, see other people in a certain way. We are literally programmed to expect or believe what is possible for us to manifest, or what is normal in our reality. And what I'm noticing, especially from a lot of the people that I work with, and especially during this time period, is that most of us still need to get beyond our programming. And this is not a judgment. This is something that is essential to, address if you want to actually start creating something new, because the external environment can only, it's just a mirror. That's really all it is. If we talk about manifesting in terms of metaphysics, which it is also essential to understand certain elements of metaphysics if you want to manifest properly, the reality that you see around you is literally a 365-degree mirror of what you're believing about yourself, what you're believing is possible, and what you expect. Okay, so all of those things are programmed into us very early on. So in order to, really decide what we want to create in our reality that's coming from a genuine place, that's coming from an authentic place, we have to take a look at our programming. And we have to really see if the programming is actually, what we do believe. So in my last post, I discussed looking at your beliefs and asking yourself, do I really believe this? Do I really believe this thing or this belief that I have been living by? And also taking a look at your current reality, looking at what's showing up and saying, what would I have to be believing about myself, or what's possible in order for these things to be happening? Most of us really don't realize that we're programmed. This is a very subconscious thing. It operates in the background. It creates your reality for you in the background of your psyche, and you kind of don't even know it's there. And this is very, very typical when we're talking about childhood trauma or programming that happens in childhood. The first 7 years of our life, we are like a literal sponge, and that program is being installed into us. So then what happens is we grow up and we start to create a life that has these either patterns or limitations or cycles that are based on beliefs or expectations that we were given as children. And these can be really hard to break out of, especially if they're not addressed properly. So before we do any sort of manifestation work, it's essential to kind of look at our reality and say, what would I have to be believing to be creating what I have created thus far? So there needs to be a really thorough investigation into yourself, because again, nobody really likes to hear this, but everything is you. Everything in your reality is happening because of something that you are believing about yourself. It's something that's being reflected back to you. And that can be really, really hard to wrap your head around, but really, in a metaphysical sense, that's exactly how it works. The events that you are experiencing in your personal life, in your personal world, are just mirroring what you're holding inside yourself. It's mirroring your expectations, your beliefs, and what you're thinking on a daily basis, which essentially makes up your entire vibration, okay? So when we talk about deprogramming, we want to take a look at what we're giving our attention to and what we're believing is possible. Most people want to manifest physical things, or they want to manifest a relationship, or they want to manifest, trips away, or these beautiful experiences and stuff like that. But what we need to look at is, are we holding the beliefs inside about ourselves that would allow these things to come into our reality? And most of the time, that's where it gets really tricky. So deprogramming is about looking at yourself, looking at your circumstances, and understanding your influences that you are taking in on a regular basis, and asking yourself if those influences are giving you messages that really line up to what you're trying to create. So look at the programming that you received from childhood. Look at the stories that you were told from your parents. Most of us really embody these stories. We really embody this programming, and we carry that throughout our life. So if you have some sort of programming that says that you're unworthy or that you're unlovable, it's going to be really hard for you to create a relationship that you want in your life that's nurturing and that gives back to you and all that good stuff, because of the core beliefs that you're holding inside of yourself. It's because of that programming. Also, I really hear a lot of people when they talk about their reality, or even when they talk about take the current global situation, most of what people say is regurgitated narrative from media or the government or Netflix or something like that. They take it on as their own knowledge, as their own beliefs, and then they live by it. They regurgitate it, okay? So it's really important to take a look at the programming and ask yourself, detach yourself from that programming. So whether that be the messages from your parents, whether that be the messages from your government, taking a look and giving the responsibility of that programming back to the programmer. So understanding that your parents were, God bless them, doing the best they could, but those were the stories that they were running, that they were living by. You don't have to live by those stories. What the government tells you to expect, what Netflix tells you, what your friends tell you, okay? Understanding that everybody's programmed with certain things that they expect to be reality. And I see people running into this all the time, okay? If you're trying to manifest a house, for example, and you think, well, I'm not making enough money to manifest this certain house that I want. Again, that is programming. It's programming. You're expecting that you're not going to be able to have the money to get the house that you want. But in terms of manifestation, we have to understand that it's limitless. We live in a quantum field that completely mirrors what you're holding within you. So when you change what you're expecting and what you're believing, and you really address the programming that you're holding within yourself, everything around you will change to match those changed expectations and that changed programming. So it's really important when, we are doing anything in our reality to say, does this actually match up with my own authentic beliefs of what I'm trying to create, of what I'm trying to manifest, or was this given to me? Was this given to me? Is this mine? And I find too, the deprogramming requires a level of responsibility for yourself, a really intense level of taking responsibility for yourself, because if everything is a mirror of you, and if everything is showing you what you've been programmed with, it's up to you to change that programming so that everything else can change as well. So really taking a look at the messages that you're hearing all the time. What is the agenda behind the programming that we are being given? Understanding that this programming comes from an external source. It's given to you. So if it's given to you, there must be some sort of an agenda, right? The world would look completely different if we were programmed to think that we were limitless, which is the truth. That is actually the truth. I have proven this to myself in my reality. I have studied manifestation for many, many years in depth in a metaphysical sense. And the truth is that we are powerful, unlimited beings that can create anything that we want. And the biggest challenge is to get beyond that programming, kind of thinking to yourself, well, this will never happen in my reality, or no, I'm only going to have enough money for this, or only these experiences happen to other people, or I'll believe it when I see it. That kind of thinking keeps you in a box of basically living by society's standards, living by what that programming tells you to expect is possible, can happen, okay? But when we study manifestation, you have to accept that you have to open your mind so far wide, because we've been programmed to live in this tiny set, this very limiting set of expectations, and it's a lie. It's a complete lie. I want to talk about programming also in terms of just how it works in your reality. So when you are given an idea, you are given a concept, an idea from the external reality. Usually you're given it, it's given to you in terms of seeing it on a screen. So you see it on Netflix, you see it on the news, you see it somewhere, okay, media somewhere. And it basically says to you, this is the narrative, this is what's going on, this is what you need to believe in, and this is what we need to do about it. This is how society is programmed and completely manipulated, okay? So if you see that and you say yeah, and you start to believe it, then it is going to be created in your reality, because whatever you believe, you're going to create externally. And without getting too far into this, the powers that be, the 1% that run this reality, they know that. They know that that's how we create reality, and we are all manipulated that way. Most of us in this society are like puppets on a string, because we have not yet tapped into our power to create what we actually want. And we are seeing this big time right now in our world, okay? We are given a narrative and we're saying, yeah, this is the narrative. And most people, because we have not yet examined our beliefs, we have not gained sovereignty over ourselves, we take on this programming and we say, yeah, this is the reality. And our reality says, you got it, you're right, because it will only reflect back to us, okay? So it's really important to be extremely discerning about the messages that you're listening to, what you're choosing to believe, and understanding that what you believe, you will create. So there needs to be a lot of work when we do manifestation in terms of changing our beliefs about what we think of ourselves and expanding drastically what we can believe is possible. Because you can't manifest anything new if you believe that you are stuck in a box or limited to any labels or identifications of what society is telling you is real or telling you is possible, okay? So that's just something I wanted to kind of expand on today, because I do, I see a lot of people as well asking me questions about what's going to happen with the shift, with the energetic shift that's occurring. And basically I just say, you create your own reality. And at this point, it sounds cheesy because a lot of people are talking about this, but I really want to drive this home. You create everything that you experience, and it requires a lot of responsibility to kind of own that and really take that on. But the answer that I give to everyone is, what do you believe is going to happen? What do you want to happen? Okay, because if we want to get into a very deep metaphysical sense of this, all timelines exist at once, and you can just merge into whatever one you want to experience. And if you're interested in learning more about that, you can contact me for manifestation coaching, or my course, which will go into very deep, in-depth metaphysical explanation of how exactly that works. But basically, you're going to get what you expect and what you believe. So really listening to the, looking at the messages that you're receiving every day, looking at the news that you're listening to, looking at the music that you're listening to, looking at the people that you surround yourself with, okay? Because all of this is programming you. All of it's programming you. So in order to deprogram, it's about taking responsibility, taking your energy back, and really being firm about that. So no matter what kind of programming you get, no matter what anyone is sending you, no matter what you're seeing on the news or on TV, or that's being accepted by the external reality as truth, you have the ability to say, yes, I believe that, or no, I do not. And whatever you accept is going to be externally created in your reality. So that was a little bit of a long-winded video, but I really wanted to expand on that because I think that can be really helpful in helping people understand that you are extremely powerful, and don't be scared to own that power. Just because everybody's telling you that something is happening or something is going on, or this is the narrative you need to follow, you actually don't need to buy into that if you don't feel like that is your truth. And this time period, it's very important for all of us to stand in our truth and create what we authentically believe that we want, okay? So thank you so much for joining me this time around. If you're interested in coaching, all of that information is on my website, and I will see you next time. Much love.